All right, guys, welcome in. It is Brad with College SportsCast. Got a special show for you guys tonight. I am here to do a Big Blue Hoops cast. This is our episode 6. We're in season 3, but I have a special guest for you guys tonight. She is here. I'm going to introduce her with a video of her play in the last game on Saturday against Purdue.
We'll leave it to Hassett. She's got it from 3. 2.0. The 3 on the other side, and the Kentucky bench loves it. Hassett finding the fire here in the 4th.
All right, guys, that is Amelia Hassett. And right now, I'm going to welcome her to the show. Hello, Amelia. How are you tonight?
Hi, I'm good. Thanks for having me.
So, Amelia is from Australia. She has that accent to her. So, she has a pretty cool accent, I believe. I appreciate you being on with me tonight. Welcome to College Sportscast.
Thank you.
All right, so I showed your clip there from your last performance. It was probably your best in the Big Blue uniform. Probably, I would say so. Most points, most 3-pointers. So you had 22 points. You was 5 from 10 shooting from the 3-point line. You pretty much seems like you have the green light, Amelia. Is that the case?
Yes, definitely that is the case. Obviously working every day in practice, just practicing shooting, and obviously Coach Brooks has that confidence in me to let me obviously shoot the ball, and yeah, he's confident in me that he knows it's going to go in. So that's what gives me also confidence.
Yes. So, was it something about the Mackey Arena that you liked better, or I mean, was it just your shots just happened to be falling that night?
Well, actually, in the beginning of the game, obviously, I did miss a couple early, which was obviously, it felt like I was missing like so many, but yeah, just continuing to shooting and just obviously my teammates being there for me and having that confidence in me. And yeah, obviously, the arena there is just amazing. So yeah, it was just obviously the ball was going in that night.
Especially in the second half, it really seemed like you found your stride in the second half of that game.
Yeah, no, definitely in the second
Because the
half,
second,
obviously coming back
yeah,
after
yeah,
the locker room. Yeah.
yeah. So you guys won 82 to 52, 30-point win on the road. Um, and you guys are 9-1 on the season. How do you feel like everything is going as far as the team so far this year?
Yeah, obviously off to a great start, which is good. And yeah, the team, obviously we're all connecting on and off the court. So just keep building that relationship with each other. And obviously going into the break, it'll be nice to have a little couple days off just to rest and everyone get their body right. But then back in conference play, and yeah, really excited.
Yeah. So you got the big road win. And I guess it was a pretty good feeling for you guys to knock that off the list because you did go to North Carolina. That is the one loss that you guys do have on your record. So it probably felt pretty good to get that road monkey off your back, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Obviously, North Carolina was our first road game, true road game, obviously. But yeah, coming into Purdue, we wanted to obviously, being our second road game, we wanted to yeah come out strong and get the win there.
Right. All right. So, like I said, a couple of fun questions here. you have this Australian accent. You're Georgia. Who has the thicker, better Australian accent?
Um, well, what my teammates have told me, they said that mine is a little thicker than hers, but I mean, she's been in America for like 5 years now, so I guess it's understandable that hers is kind
Right,
of more American Australian, I guess you can say. But so I've heard my teammates said that mine is a little thicker.
right. I just thought I'd have a little fun with that question because you do have two Aussie teammates there, you and her, on the team together. Um, all right, so I want to kind of go back. You shoot really well. I just be honest with you. I think you're one of the better shooters on the team. But I have a question. You're 6'3". When did you really start shooting and practicing three pointers? Have you always done that at your height, or has it just been in college?
Um, so obviously when I was back home in Australia, when I was younger, obviously I never really shot the ball, but obviously practicing it. But it really didn't come along until maybe I was around 16, I would say. One of my old coaches kind of told me that I wasn't obviously going to be on the post playing inside all the time because sometimes being 6'3", you can be the tallest on the team. But yeah, just having like my coaches around telling me that that's not always how it's going to be. So yeah, I would say when I was around 16, maybe 17, I started getting more range within my shot and then just continuing to practice that throughout, I guess, the years. And then now being in college, obviously perfected it a little bit more and continuing to work on it. And yeah, so that's, I guess, when I started.
All right. Well, you have a really high release on your shot, which I think helps you at 6'3". Um, is that something that you started practicing when you were 16? That high release on your three pointer?
Yeah, so that was kind of the technique I guess I was shown um from when I was 16. So it kind of just stuck with, and obviously now it's very handy like having that high release to get over the defender's hand.
It is. So, being here at Kentucky and being with Coach Kenny Brooks, you came over with him. You were committed to him at Virginia Tech, and now here in Lexington. How are you enjoying Lexington? I guess you came from Florida, is where you were from or came from.
Yeah, no, Florida was amazing. Like it was always warm there, but I definitely am loving Lexington. Obviously,
Yeah.
a bit of snow, which I kind of am enjoying right now, but no, I really love it here. Obviously, there's a lot of things to do, like so much going on, and the fan base is just amazing. So yeah, I'm really enjoying it.
So, did you ever see snow in Australia?
So I've seen snow, but I've never really like been in snow. I guess you could say like snow falling and it being on the ground for a couple of days and then leaving, like melting and then coming back. I guess you could say I've never really had that experience.
Right. All right. So your first Music City Classic here, that road trip and going to Nashville. Uh, you played two games there. I think you girls had a little time as well in Nashville. Um, how was your trip to Nashville? I know you got the two wins.
Yeah, the wins were great. That was a really fun trip. Obviously it being over Thanksgiving was very cool. Um, yeah, it was just so much fun. We got to explore a bit of Nashville and we went out for dinner downtown, which was really cool. So it was just yeah, a fun experience just to see also another place.
Yeah. Was that your first trip to Nashville?
So it actually wasn't. I did go there with my parents. I think it was last summer. So I guess I knew a little bit, but it was nice to go back because yeah, it's such a cool place.
Right. All right. So you girls have Belmont coming up this Friday. I don't know if you've caught any of you probably been watching some film or whatever, but they played Mississippi State just the other night and nearly pulled out the win versus Mississippi State, an SEC school, lost by three, 73-70. Have you guys been doing a little catching up on Belmont
Yeah, so we've started watching film and
video?
yeah, getting a bit of scout on Belmont, but obviously it's the game before break, so just to stay locked in and focus. And obviously they're a great team, so just going in there strong and being confident.
I mean, their record is 5-5,
Mm.
but if you look at some of the teams that they have played some pretty good teams and played them close.
Yes, no, we were talking about that today. Obviously they played a lot of great teams. Even though their record says that they're 5-3, they're definitely a good team, and we're gonna have to be ready.
It's a home game. You're going to have a little bit of holiday stuff on Friday night. I think you're going to have the junior Wildcat crew there and giving away the Wildcat on the shelf. It seems like on Friday night and having a little bit of fun, Christmas cheer and holiday fun.
Yes, no, definitely excited for a little Christmas, I guess a little Christmas game for everyone. And yeah, that Wildcat is pretty cool.
Yeah, I saw the picture of it today. I thought it was pretty cool too. The
Yeah.
little elf on the shelf Wildcat. Yeah.
Yeah,
All
definitely.
right. So I'm going to get you out of here. I know we agreed to 15 minutes, so I want to get you out of here. I want to have a little bit of fun with you. It is the Christmas season. So I was going to do a little bit of Christmas this or that with you to kind of end it up here with you. So the first one I have for you is Christmas music or Christmas movies?
Christmas movies.
Christmas movies. All right. That's a good one. All right. So store-bought gifts or homemade gifts?
Um, I think I would have to say homemade gifts.
All right. Eggnog or spiced cider?
Eggnog.
Eggnog. All right. Gingerbread or sugar cookies?
Sugar cookies.
Oh, you're a sugar cookie girl, huh?
Definitely.
real tree or real tree or fake tree?
I've never had a real tree, so I'm gonna say fake tree.
Okay. All right. Elves or snowmen?
Um, I think snowman.
Snowmen? All right.
Yes.
And the last one, white lights or colored lights?
Uh, Definitely, I think white lights.
You like the white lights?
Yes, I do.
All right. I hope you don't mind having a little bit of Christmas fun. The last thing I'll ask you about the Christmas season here, Amelia, what's different in America? What do we not do here that you are used to at Christmas time in Australia? Is there something
Uh,
that we don't do here
oh,
at Christmas season?
I would say definitely the day after Christmas, for us is called Boxing Day.
Okay.
Um, so normally they have like the shops have a lot of Boxing Day sales, so a lot of people go shopping. But back home, on Boxing Day, there's horse races. And that's
Okay.
where, yeah, a lot of people get dressed up and go watch the horse races.
And I know right now in Australia is like your guys' summer season, right? It's not
Yes,
winter, it's summer, right?
summer, yeah.
Yeah. So it's like really warm and hot at Christmas there in Australia. It's kind of
Yes.
different for us American people over here.
It is different.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. All right, Amelia, I want to wish you the best of luck on Friday night and coming up with the SEC. I love covering you girls, and I can't wait to see you on Friday night. And we will hopefully maybe see you after the game, player of the game
Yes.
again.
Maybe.
All right, Amelia, I appreciate you being with me. Thank you for being on College SportsCast, the Big Blue HoopsCast.
Thank you so much for having me. It was great.
All right. All right. Thank you, Amelia. Have a good night.
Bye. You too.
Bye. All right, guys. That was Amelia Hassett. She is the starting guard wing for the University of Kentucky women's basketball team. And we appreciate her being on with us tonight, having a little bit of fun here with Amelia. It is the Christmas season and just having a little bit of fun with her while she was on with us. And greatly appreciate Amelia for being here. Also, appreciate Cammie Moore for helping set this up with the women's basketball team. Got to give her a big shout out. And having her on was a pretty cool moment here for College Sportscast and the Big Blue HoopsCast, and we appreciate that. You know, she has been playing really, really well. Amelia has. Uh, she has, I think, the last 4 games, she has been in double figures. She's averaging 10.8 points and 9.8 rebounds a game. But the last 4, she's even been doing better than that. She had 19 game before last, 22. The last 3 games, she's had 3, 3, and 5 made 3-pointers. She's definitely one of the best 3-point shooters on the team this year. Her and Deja, I would say, are the 3-point threats. Georgia would be right in there next. Georgia, I'm trying to think who has the most, but I think maybe Deja has Amelia by 2, made 23 and 21, I believe. But here is Amelia's stats again. She's averaging 10.8 points per game and 9.8 rebounds. That is about 30th in the country for the women's basketball. And she recently eclipsed 1,000 points in her career. Most of those was in junior college at Eastern Florida State, I think, was where she came from. She is a junior on the team. And I've got Hammonds here joining me. I just had Amelia on and just kind of giving an update and talking about Amelia here. Hammond, she's been playing really strong, had 22 points, 5 of 10 3-pointers. The last game, she had 19 3 made pointers the game before that. And she's been playing really strong the last 4 or 5 games, to be quite honest.
Yeah, and she had 6 rebounds as well. Oh
yeah,
and her defense is really good. And this team is going to come together. They had that little hiccup at North Carolina, but you're going to have games like this especially early in the year, especially when you're a new team. When you got new pieces together, like Georgia Moore, Clara Strack, a bunch of transfers, it's going to happen. And you can't get down on them. You can't get upset. It is what it is. That's the way we look at it with the men's team too. Kenny Brooks had to really base this off scratch. He had to bring a team together right now, and he done a really good job with it. And he's doing a really good job recruiting. The Matty Greenway pickup was really he's doing a really good job, and he's bringing a different kind of culture to Lexington that I love. Like I always said, he's a player's coach, and he loves his players, and the players love him. That's the one thing you see on the court, and that's the one thing that I take away from what Kenny Brooks brings to this women's basketball team.
Absolutely. I've been around these players. I've been around the team. These players love him, and he loves them just as much. I mean, it shows in the way that he does things as well. But I showed it a little bit earlier. I kind of introduced her with this. But this is a clip of at least 4 of the 5 3-pointers that Amelia hit versus Purdue in this 82-52.
We'll leave it to Hassett. She's got it from 3. Big 2.0. The 3 on the other side, and the Kentucky bench loves it. Hassett finding the fire here in the 4th.
That was, I think, 4 of her 5 3-pointers. She's got that real high release that I was talking about in the interview. And she's 6'3". It helps her get her shot off versus nearly anybody with that high release. And she's shooting almost 36% from 3-point line, and it's been gradually getting better. She started out kind of slow first 4 or 5 games, and it's been getting better almost every game the last 4 games. One more clip. Well, actually, I've got 2 more clips.
In her young collegiate career here at Purdue. Time forces Strack to kick it out, but it lands in the hands of a great 3-point shooter in Hassett, knocking.
That was a pretty shot, wasn't it, John?
It was. It was pretty.
Yeah, I mean, went to the post. Claire Strack passes it back out to Amelia Hassett there on the wing, and nothing but net. I mean, she has a really pretty stroke when her shot is on. Here is one more from her from 3-point, nonetheless.
The finish for McCarthy, 2.0. The 3 on the other side, and the Kentucky bench loves.
There you go again, playing string music.
Yeah, that net.
From 3-point line.
That net.
Yeah.
The net.
Yeah, you could hear the net. Absolutely. Playing string music there. That was Amelia at Purdue. She was the leading scorer, had 22 points against Purdue. But there was one other person, teammate here that had 21. That was Georgia Amore. And I got to talk about her for a minute because during this game, and I'm fixing to show the moment that she did this, but she eclipsed 2,000 points in her career, John, during the Kentucky versus Purdue game.
Yep.
And I do have a clip of it, and this is the bucket that she hit to eclipse 2,000 points.
Key looking to get her involved offensively. But maybe not when you need, when you have Georgia Amore on your squad. She is heating up right now, and that is 2,000 officially for her career. The Australian who is lightly recruited, who trusted Kenny Brooks.
You always talk about stream music. That kind of takes me back to Joe Dean, when Joe Dean used to say, Stream Music, Kentucky
Yep.
KY up in Lexington.
Yep. That's actually, I grew up listening to that, the stream music. I used to love, I used to love him, listening to
Yeah,
that kind
Joe
of
Dean.
stuff.
Joe
So
Dean was a great guy. Yep.
Joe Dean, stream music. Yep.
And his son,
Yep. He was
his
a
son
good
kind
one.
of picked up off of where he left off, doing
Yep.
play by play and color commentary. So,
Yep. He
Great.
did. But Georgia
Great.
Amore there, she played a little stream music. That was actually off of an inbounds pass. She comes in and curls around. They hit her there about the free throw line, and she knocks down her 2,000th career points on that shot. I mean, John, there's not many that eclipse 2,000 career points.
It's tough.
Yeah,
It's,
I mean,
you gotta
now
be.
most of those were at Virginia Tech, but she's playing her 5th year here, and so we're getting to enjoy another Australian. I started with Amelia Hassett. Now we're talking about Georgia Amore here, eclipsing 2,000 points. So congrats to her. It's a huge accomplishment, and Kenny made a huge deal about it, and he should have, and gave her a big balloons and party and stuff for eclipsing 2,000 points afterwards, and the biggest hug ever. I mean, you talk about the way they love each other, like that's almost like a daughter, a daughter to him, a daughter-dad relationship. That's basically what they have. I've seen it up close and personal. So the last clip that I have here is another clip of Georgia Amore. And I'm showing you this one because this game was 39-33 about midway through the third quarter. And Kentucky went on a huge run. Amelia Hassett was part of it, a couple of those clips that I showed. And Georgia Amore is on this clip. And Kentucky finished the third quarter on a 13-0 run and opened up this game 52-33 after 3, and never really looked back after that.
ACC Player of the Year.
And Kenny Brooks said, hey, I have to give her some grace. She's not a 22-year-old All-American. She's a 19-year-old with a tremendous upside learning how to play.
Amore with a
little string music. All right, that was Georgia Amore, part of that run. Kentucky pulls out the 82-52 road victory in a packed house at Bud Mackey Arena in Indiana. So, on the road, it's always tough to win on the road.
It is.
All right, so Friday night, John, the girls will play Belmont.
Mm-hmm.
And I want to talk about Belmont just a little bit. They played Mississippi State just the other night and had a lead in this game in the second half. I mean, and barely lost 73-70 to this Mississippi State team. And Mississippi State has been really good. They were ranked earlier. I'm not exactly sure. I think they only have either 0 or 1 losses. I'm not sure. I have to go back and look because I haven't kept up with them exactly recently. But this Mississippi State team has played really well. They're somewhere around 8th or so in the rankings for the SEC on the women's side so far. And Belmont, even though they're 5-5, they played a tough schedule and lost 1 by 3, lost 1 by 4 against some really good teams.
They have, and Kentucky, I think, starts the season off in SEC play against Mississippi State. So
they do.
That's kind of a common opponent. So should be interesting. The one thing I'm kind of ecstatic about, is the assist. Kentucky's second in the conference in assist. Georgia probably has a lot to do with that. But Paris Strack's averaging 16 points a game. This team is built to go far.
They
in
got
the
5
tournament.
girls in double figures, averaging
They do.
in double figures.
And like I said last week, this team is built to go to the tournament. The way they're built, the way they play inside and out, the way they play defense. The shooting. There was a few games here and there where they didn't shoot the greatest, but they figured it out. I think at Purdue, they did some really good things at Purdue. They got behind a little bit early, and they put the brakes on, and they just blew Purdue out. So, interested to see how they handle Belmont. Belmont is a mid-major, and they're always tough, especially on the women's side and the men's side. They're always pretty good in around that tournament run towards the end of the year. So, interesting to see how they handle a game after this Purdue win.
Yeah, I am too, especially this Belmont team. Like you said, I mean, boys and girls, women and men. I mean, they usually have a pretty good team. This Belmont team, like I said, has played some really good teams and kept it close. This is, they're going to come into Memorial Coliseum on Friday night, and they're going to be gunning for us. I mean, they're going to be trying to get that big win. So it's going to be important for the girls to stay focused before the Christmas holiday, because that's going to be in everybody's head as well. So, hopefully the girls will stay focused on Friday night and get the win. And then they will play Western Kentucky after Christmas on the 28th. They have about 8 days off after Friday. So this will be the last game before Christmas. And before we move off of the women's team here, I do want to mention, John, that the girls stayed ranked 16th again this week, even though they won 2 games, one by 42, one on the road by 30 on a Big Ten team, and still didn't move, despite a couple of teams losing in front of them.
I think a lot of that had to do with losing to North Carolina. I think if they'd have won that game, they might have been upward a little bit, but that kind of and plus a lot of teams won in front of them, so it's going to be kind of hard to move teams here and there around, unless you win a big top 5 matchup or top 10, because a lot of times the voters will move based on those kind of wins. So.
It is. I just think the girls, bouncing back after the North Carolina loss on the road, coming back, getting 2 wins by 42 and on the road to a Big Ten team by 30 points. I know Purdue is a little bit down so far early this year, but they have a rabid fan base on the women's side and have a great tradition. Purdue does. So I mean it was a ruckus crowd for them, to go into. So hopefully, if the girls can take care of business against Belmont on Friday night, we'll see a movement again in the rankings for the women's basketball team.
Mm-hmm.
All right, we are going to move on, you guys, and talk about Kentucky-Louisville. I know that John is excited about talking about Kentucky-Louisville game on Saturday. Coach Pope and Kentucky got the win. Coach Pope got his first win versus Louisville as the Kentucky coach. It was 93-85, and ironically, his coach at Kentucky, Rick Pitino's first win versus Louisville was also 93-85. Did you see that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I seen that.
I thought that was kind of ironic.
The offense finally showed up. They finally figured things out. They was hot
Butler
early.
being back helped.
Butler being back helped.
Yeah.
Butler had a career high, 33 points? Or no, was it 35? I think it was 35.
It's 33. It was 33.
It was 33.
Yeah.
But he played really well. Ortega Oweh played really good towards the end. For a while there in the second half, it felt like, every time Kentucky would make a run, Louisville would make a little run. They'd trade blows. I want to tell you something. This ain't a Louisville podcast, but Chucky Hepburn is an absolute baller. He kept Louisville in that basketball game. Terrence Edwards.
That Terrence Edwards guy wasn't bad either, really.
He was right.
Waterman looked pretty good. He played for
Waterman
both
at
last year.
times.
Yeah.
Louisville cut the lead, I think, to 2 possessions several times. And then
Yeah,
Kentucky
they got it to 5 a couple of times, I know. Yeah.
Yeah, and then they would close it out.
Times.
Then you had the little skirmish in the middle of the bench with Brandon Garrison and Rain Smith, which really never got ugly because Pope and Pat Kelsey kind of prevailed heads there. A lot of people saw the picture. It looked like Pope.
That's what I was laughing about when you said
had
that.
Pat Kelsey in a headlock looked like, and it was kind of funny to me. So
It wasn't, by the way.
It wasn't.
The snapshot picture kind of looked that way.
It was. This is going to be a fun rivalry for years to come. It's their first time. Some of the players were playing in it for the first time. There was a lot of physicality in this game. You had a little trash talking. Like I said, you had the little melee thing that, and this game turned into a shootout. Both teams scored up in the 80s, 90s, which it was a fun game. Then you had Lamont Butler. He took 10 shots from the field and made all 10. The man could not miss. Then he had the 6 for 6 mark
from the 3-point line.
From the 3-point line. The only shots he did miss was from the free throw line, which he managed to miss.
And he
7
missed too many of those. I will say that.
He missed too many of those. Then you had Oweh towards the end of the game. A lot of his points and assists and steals came in the second half, and that's clutch. He had a steal at midcourt. Then he had a 3 over in the corner, and then he had the N1 to kind of touch off the finish of the game. I thought Jackson Robinson played really good when he was in there. He had a big 3 early in the game before halftime to kind of push the lead out. Kobe Brea played not great, but he hit some shots. But the shooting overall to me was better this game. That's one thing that you was talking about, that you had some concerns about this team going forward shooting the ball, which I think if they play like they did Saturday and they keep up the momentum with that kind of game and produce those kind of numbers, I think they'll be fine going into the SEC play. And as far as Louisville goes, unbelievable effort by the Cardinals. They was playing with 7 players. There was a lot against them. Keyshawn Pryor has been out with an injury. He's out for the season. They had another guy injured. They was very limited in what they could do, but they didn't come in intimidated, Brad. They came in to fight. They came in to play hard.
Oh, yeah.
And that shows you the kind of coach that Pat Kelsey is. He's not a quitter. He continues to throw guys out there and put them in pressure situations. And they almost pulled the upset. If Chucky Hepburn had hit a few more shots.
Let's be honest, John. They looked night and day better than what they have the last couple of years. It wasn't even close.
And I think like I said, if Chucky Hepburn would have hit a few more shots, if Waterman would have hit a couple more shots, this game would have been nip and tuck, 2-3 points with probably 50 seconds to go. But Kentucky had the edge. I think they had some really good bench points. Andrew Carr played really, really well. The main thing here's the main thing that concerns me, Brad, going forward. And I've said this a couple times on articles and certain things. It's not the offense that really worries me. Now, the defense, there was a lot to be desired Saturday, but that's not what worries me, Brad. What worries me is when you get into SEC play, you're going to go up against guys that can play physical and rebound and crash the glass. And we're not a great rebounding team.
Yeah, I agree with you on that one.
That's my biggest concern going into a game like against a team like Auburn, Tennessee.
I'll be honest with you. The only one that kind of impresses me rebounding is maybe Williams. I think he can fight in there with them.
Yeah.
Carr, I mean, I like him against smaller people and everything, but you get him against other bigs.
If you put him at the 5,
and
I think he can take over a game against certain opponents. But there's certain games where you're not going to be able to do that because you got guys like Janai Broome, Auburn. He's probably my player of the year in the SEC right now. You got a guy like Chaz Lanier that plays for Tennessee. You got guys like Walter Clayton Jr. that plays for Florida. Then you got guys that play for Georgia, Newell.
Even
the
Matthews at Mississippi State.
Matthews.
I mean, there's
Josh Hubbard. Like when you're going into SEC play, and now these games, Kentucky's probably going to win the next 2. They play Ohio State Saturday, and then they play Brown the following week. Well, not the following week, but 10 days. To me, these are going to kind of be get-right games. But then you just jump right out of the chute in January, first lick, and you play Florida at home. And Florida beat North Carolina tonight, beat a decent North Carolina team. Wouldn't say they're great, but North Carolina's got their problems of their own. But this Florida team's really, really good. Condon, Walter Clayton Jr., Richards. They got a lot of guys that can take you off the dribble and can shoot. And the second part of this,
hold up just a minute, because before we kind of move on, I've got a couple of things here about the Louisville Kentucky game. You've already kind of talked about it, but I've got a couple of clips that I wanted to show you and kind of play for everybody. So this is a clip on Lamont Butler's big day.
3 left side.
Lamont Butler just gave us one of the all-time greatest performances in the history of this super special game. Like, it's all-time.
Williams into the hands of Carr. Kentucky's running. Oh, wait, pass right side. Butler. Pull up 3 in transition. Good! Carr brings it up the left side. Gives it to Butler. Open straight away. 3. Good. 2 of them for Lamont Butler.
Boy, how nice is it to see him back in there?
Shovel pass to Oway for a dunk coming down the lane. Robinson comes into the lane. Shovels it out to Butler. Right side. 3. Good. Butler. Deadly today. Harrison backing down. Double teamed. Out to Butler. Open straight away. Hit another one.
Wow, what about that?
Had an open shot, but he juggled the pass. Back to Butler. 3 left side. 10 for 10.
All right, so that shows you quite a bit about Butler's big day against Louisville. Just wanted to get that clip in there. I couldn't really do it, so I had to wait to there. But, I mean, Butler had honestly, he had an all-time – you go all the way back to the Dream game in '83, he scored the most points ever against Louisville for a Kentucky player.
And another thing, too, Brad, is this is not Lamont Butler. Offensively is what I'm saying. This is not who he is. He's more of a downhill driver. He's more getting the ball to the shooters. He playing defense. He's having a career year offensively.
Oh yeah, absolutely. That was a career day.
When I watched him at San Diego State, he never really had these kind of games.
No.
Now he had a few games where he scored 20, 18 points, but nothing of this magnitude. And, that says a lot that if Lamont Butler can have this kind of game, you free it open for everybody else.
Yeah.
I think it might have been Jay Williams. I can't remember who it was. Somebody on the ESPN broadcast brought up a good point. I can't remember. It might have been Seth Greenberg. Can't remember. But he said there's not a lot of great – I think it was Jeff Goodman. He said they don't have a lot of stars, but they have a different guy that can beat you every single night. Where it goes from Andrew Carr, from Lamont Butler, Otega Owe to Jackson Robinson to Amari Williams in the paint. Then you got Brandon Garrison coming off the bench, which I think Brandon Garrison's growing every single week, every single game. I didn't think he played that great Saturday. I thought Louisville got in his head a little bit at times, but I thought he'd done some good things. He rebounded the ball pretty decent, those kind of things. But that's one thing I love about this team. You don't have that one guy that's going to beat you. The thing that worries me,
I think that's kind of what makes it a team, to be honest with you.
Well, it does.
And
the thing that
this is a team.
And Rob Douster brought up another good point. He said, at first I didn't think they really had a guy that could go get a bucket, but he said I think that in certain ways they do. With Lamont Butler, with Otega Owe, when they need a point. Andrew Carr can be that guy. I think Jackson Robinson can be that guy. When he's he had the bad game against Duke, then he come back and he played really, really good against Gonzaga. You're going to have games like that where you don't play well. And I think Jackson Robinson has played a lot better. I think when he went to point guard, I thought he played really, really well because, he played like that under Pope. He played that position. He knew that position. And I think that helps if you got a Lamont Butler that goes down, you got a guy like Jackson Robinson who can come off the bench and take over at the starting spot. Because here's the thing that I want to say about Travis Perry, and I know people are going to say, well, he's a Kentucky kid. He is. But right now, Travis Perry is not good for this game right now. The way, Saturday
he's got a lot of growth to do. Man.
He's got a lot of growing to do.
People got to realize we're not in that era anymore.
I think he threw the ball
we're
away.
not in that era anymore. These kids, freshmen, they got a lot of growth to do, to be quite honest with you. But I do want to mention about Otega Owe. You've already talked about him, but I did put a clip in here about how his big play was down the stretch. I thought even despite Butler getting all the accolades and rightfully so, I thought Owe's play down the stretch of the game is what really won it. So here's a clip of Owe.
To beat the defense down the floor. Shovel pass to Owe for a dunk coming down the lane. Bodies moving. Turns into the paint. Feeds Owe on a backdoor cut for a reversal. Gives it to the trailer. Owe right down the lane for a slam. The sea parted for Owe to go down the lane and dunk it.
Oh, man.
Carr comes into the lane. Back to Owe. Owe goes up and scores. So the Owe assist to Carr. Carr returns. Owe on the pass to Hepburn. Owe drives and dunks.
All right, you made up for it.
81-74 Kentucky. One timeout left. Owe open right corner. Shoots a three. Good.
That's the way to stay in it. He is such a good player.
Carr rebounds it. Outlet to Butler. 2-on-1. Right side Owe goes into the lane. Puts it in. And he got fouled.
Score it. Man, that's no quitting that young man.
Seventh straight for Otega Owe.
I want to ask you something while we was on this subject real quick about this, in that moment. Has the atmosphere been a lot better this year at Rupp compared to past years?
I thought it was great with at the Louisville game.
And the fact that this non-conference schedule, you had the games last year. Kentucky lost to UNC Wilmington. They've won 2 games straight out of the gate that are quad 1 wins, and Duke and Gonzaga. There's just so much momentum among this team, fan base, coaching staff, whatnot. It's amazing. If they're able to beat Ohio State and Brown, they're going to be 12-1 going into conference play. They're 2-0 in quad 1 games. They lost to Clemson, and then they're undefeated in all 2 and 3 quad 4 games. It's gone as perfect from a start for Coach Pope as you want it. I think if they can finish these 2 games on the upswing, they're going to have a lot of momentum going into SEC play, which is going to, like you said, Brad, it's going to be a gauntlet, and there's going to be a lot of quad 1 opportunities in this league. I read today that Kentucky might have
every night.
I heard this today. I might be misquoting on this, but I heard there might be 16 or 17 quad 1 game. In a road game, it's going to feel like 2 wins.
Yeah,
for a lot of teams.
Yeah. Well, absolutely. And all right.
That's going to be a lot of fun.
Before we absolutely just leave the Kentucky Louisville game, I've got to ask you. We've got to talk about it. I haven't made any post about it. Maybe John has.
I know what you're getting. I know what you're going at.
Well, I did not, and I saved it for this moment on the show. So I've got to ask you, John. Standing at Rupp Arena, I got to ask you about this. And my thing is this. Here's what I want to go with this, and you can go wherever you want to. But here's my thing. It's one thing for somebody to be standing and somebody else getting mad about it and everything else. I don't understand a Lexington cop getting involved and walking down and telling this guy to sit down while half the crowd is standing up and cheering.
He threatened to take him to jail. He threatened to take him to jail if he didn't. And
then beyond asking him to sit down, to an actual cop to threaten this guy to take him to jail because he was standing up at Rupp Arena. Now, I don't know about you guys, but that's like going to Talladega and telling somebody to sit down.
Well, here's the issues that
it's insane.
I kind of look at there's 2 sides to this, Brad. You got the one argument that fans have a right to stand up and cheer because it's part of the home field advantage. We see this at a lot of different other schools across the country. You see it at Duke. Kansas, they do it. Then you got fans that are, they pay to come to the games, cheer on their team, and they want to sit down and they want to cheer the way they want to cheer. And then there's some fans that
this was in the lower arena though.
And this is probably where another part of this is that there's probably some fans that can't stand for that long period of time. Where somebody standing in front of them might cause them to not be able to see the game or,
I mean,
to me,
I understand the 2 people. I understand having an issue and somebody not liking it and complaining. And I don't really think you should be flipping people off. And
here's my thing about this.
It's the police being involved in this that is just
I would think threatening
insane to me.
I think threatening arrest seems like going over the boundaries here, to me.
You think?
No. And a lot of this splits the fan base in a way. You had the one where Matt Sack made a post of the guy that was wasn't for sure was he flipping somebody off or something and he had a shirt that said something about something with Mark Pope. I can't remember. But anyway, the cop apparently told him to sit down or go to jail, okay? This is from an article.
While half of the fan base is standing up and cheering.
And here's
because
what
there's a video of it.
Here's what one of the articles says. I got this from MSN. It said, I stood for the first 2 minutes of the game, and a bunch of the fans behind me were yelling to sit down. Caleb explained to KSR. And then one of the blue coats came down and told me that I had to sit down or I was going to be kicked out. So I sat down, standing up periodically, but I sat down until there were 10 minutes left in the game, and that's when I stood back up and remained standing, even though the people behind me were yelling to sit down. Caleb said that the fans directly behind him told him they didn't mind him standing. They said it was perfectly fine. According to Caleb, it wasn't fine with the police officer who told him to sit down or go to jail. When Caleb asked about the crime and standing, the officer told him he would find out if he didn't see it. Caleb followed orders to avoid any further trouble or potential jail time.
I mean, that's just insane to me, guys. That's like going to a concert, okay? A big, huge concert, and them telling you that you have to sit down. You're at a sporting event or going to Talladega or Daytona and them telling you got to sit down.
Here's the thing. Do they not know?
I'm not talking about a person. I'm talking about a cop that is threatening to take you to jail if you don't sit down.
Listen, Brad. We played Louisville Saturday, right? This ain't even the beginning of the schedule. We got Arkansas coming to town.
Yeah.
We have Alabama coming to town. We have Auburn coming to town. Wonder how those fans are going to react when they're doing that then. Like,
yeah.
Here's my whole take on the atmosphere at Rupp. I've been wanting to kind of jump into this for a long time because this has been one of those subjects I've been wanting to talk about. I understand there's a lot of season ticket holders, people that have been there for many, many years. But if you're not going to at least cheer or make this a home environment, then I suggest you give your tickets up. Because there's a lot of fans out there that would like season tickets and to be able to go to the games and cheer for their teams and stand up. I've always said that I would love to have an atmosphere like the Jungle, like Auburn. The way Auburn stands up against the courts.
Well, but most of those are kids. Most of those teams put their kids, their students in the lower bowl, and that's why you see them going crazy.
Well, and two, Brad, Auburn's a smaller arena
Cameron's
too.
Crazy.
It's a smaller arena. So, I mean, I get
true.
that. But here's my thing. I think there needs to be a better home court advantage because a couple years ago, maybe 2-3 years, it's not been rough. I'll just be honest with you. You even told me that last year. You said the atmosphere is dead at times. Like
it is.
You know, you get on a run and then they sit back down and then they get behind and there's no energy, there's no enthusiasm.
And you'll go 4 or 5 minutes and there's hardly any. You can almost hear a pin drop. You can hear the ball bounce.
So
on TV,
I don't agree with the going to jail time stuff. I don't agree with fans jumping on other fans because they want to out-fan another fan. I don't think you should be the fan police. Let's just say that.
A cop getting involved is where I draw the line. Okay?
I don't.
If the Blue Coats want to appease the season ticket holders and they want to ask them or tell them that somebody needs to sit down, that's one thing. A cop getting involved and telling somebody that they have to sit down while hundreds of people are standing up and cheering while you are saying that is asinine, to be quite honest with you.
Yeah,
and there is And there is no excuse whatsoever for a cop to ever, and I'm sitting here telling you ever to threaten to take somebody to jail for simply standing up at a sporting event. That's insanity.
The second part of this is
we're not talking about somebody like drinking, somebody fighting, somebody.
I don't tell you. Here's another part of this.
We're not talking about that stuff.
Here's another side of this that I always wanted to kind of bring up. I shouldn't have to, like I said a minute ago, be the fan police and tell you how to be a fan or tell you how to cheer or tell you how to, clap your hands or have enthusiasm. I shouldn't be that type of fan. If I enjoy the game and I pay my ticket and I'm there for the duration of the game, what is it, 40 minutes, 2 halves, I think I have a right to do what I want to do. Now, let me just rephrase that. Don't get out there and act like a fool and get drunk and start.
Well, you can't be like
that's not what I'm
lacing
saying.
Profanity. You can't be, just blatantly drinking and getting drunk.
But trying to tell me how to be a fan and me standing up.
You can't be a woman and taking your top off. There's things that you can't do.
Or making signs.
If that kind of stuff is going on, okay. If the cop wants to come down and say, we'll take you to jail, okay. But if the guy is standing there and cheering and standing for his team, that's insanity.
Here's my thing. When I'll give you an example, Brad. Me and Dad went to the game. It's been a few years back. I think it was the 19 season when they had Tyler Hero, and was it the year that they lost in the Elite Eight? We played Auburn at home, and we beat Auburn pretty convincingly. I stood up almost the whole first half. Nobody really said anything to me, but I was in a kind of a cornerish where it was near an aisle, like on the top. So nobody really was behind me. So I had an opportunity to stand. But in a way, I do see where the fans coming from. If you're out in the middle of the sideline or you're near the home edge of the court and you're in the middle of the way and there's a bunch of people there, I can see from their point of view, well, hey, you're blocking my view. I can't watch the game. I see that point of view.
Sometimes you might be standing in front of somebody, these older blue coats, to be quite honest with you, that can't stand up and stand all game. Mm-hmm. But
I will say,
let's be honest.
I will say, to kind of end this conversation, I think the atmosphere has been a lot better this year. If you want to go look at it, I think a guy played for Wright State. I can't think of the player's name. He said that the atmosphere was absolutely amazing. He said when the fireworks went off, he said our whole huddle shook. He said it was a big time atmosphere, and he was trying to debunk the fact that Rupp Arena was not a big time atmosphere. And I agree with him. This year, it's been a lot better than it has in the last couple of years. But with what you said, Brad, with the whole threatening somebody for jail time over a standing, that's asinine to me. That's just pure insanity, to be quite honest with you. There is no way on the face of the earth that should ever happen. If that's the case, we should be going to Talladega and telling everybody they got to sit down. Yeah. And you don't tell a bunch of NASCAR. Are you really going to tell NASCAR fans to sit down with a bunch of drinking going on?
Yeah.
Do you really want to do that?
Let's send that Lexington cop to Talladega. That's what I got to say.
Let's do that.
I'm serious. It's a heart attack.
Oh, Brad.
That's what I got to say, for real.
Oh, goodness.
No backup. Just send him there to tell people to sit down.
Just get involved. Get in the middle of it. Yeah. Oh, goodness.
All right, guys. So after the Kentucky win against Louisville on Saturday, we were ranked 4th. This week in the poll, moved up one spot to 4th. So I think we are now in most people's 1 seed line for bracketology.
Here's the thing that I don't understand, Brad. You know, Kentucky was ranked 5th last week, right? Duke was 4th. Well, they flip-flopped this week. What was the difference?
Yeah, I don't know.
It don't make no sense.
Yeah, I agree with you. I don't know.
It just maybe another voter voted Kentucky up higher because they beat Louisville, but who knows? But
yeah,
I just didn't understand all that. But like you said, there's a lot of Kentucky bracketologists, and there's some like T3, JBR. There's others that have got now. T3 had Kentucky on a 2 line last that I looked. I think it was last night, maybe not before.
But there are some that are beginning to put them on the 1 line.
Yeah, Joe Venardi is one of those. He put Kentucky out as a 1 seed today. And by golly, guess who we'd play in the second round if we was to win? The Arkansas Razorbacks.
Imagine that.
Could you imagine?
I can't imagine that the NCAA would do that.
Here's the problem.
I can't even believe it.
I mentioned this to somebody today. Here's what you're going to have. How many teams are in the SEC? 14?
16. It's probably going to be 13,
16.
12 or 13.
Here's the problem you're going to have.
In the
honestly,
dance.
If there's 12 SEC teams that make this tournament, which it's going to be a record according to analysts and down the road, but there might be some second round games where you have to play SEC team because of the teams that are in there. I mean, that's probably what's going to happen. And you might not like it, but that's just.
Well, the one thing about the SEC possibly getting 12 or 13 or whatever teams in, the people got to realize this year there's no Pac-12. Mm-hmm. So there's 3, 4, 5 spots that a lot of the tournament usually fills with Pac-12 teams. They're open for grabs. So you got these better teams in the SEC. They're likely to get 11 or 12 spots almost. Here's
another side of it that I kind of don't like, because it makes you think, well, what if this happens? And, you had the Mountain West last year. They got all those teams in, and most of them lost early. Then they said, well, the Mountain West is overrated. And then some other, conference goes in, they get to the Final Four, Sweet 16. That's another aspect of this where if the SEC gets in there, they're going to have to produce in the tournament. They're not going to be able to, because that's going to be in the back of their mind. Well, they didn't make the second round. They didn't make the Sweet 16. So it was just an overrated conference, and we just thought they was that good, or we thought they was great. That's another part of this. But at the end of the day, I still think the SEC overall is the best conference in basketball right now. Big 12 probably
100%.
Big 12 is probably next to them in terms of
I think so. I think so as well. All right, so towards the end here, I'm going to talk a little bit about Kentucky and Ohio State on Saturday. John, they played Auburn this past Saturday and did not look good. Auburn killed them like 40.
Man, you watched it.
40 points,
we went to dinner.
Points.
We went to dinner Saturday, me and Brad did, and we watched part of the first half, and it was absolutely Ohio State wasn't even in the game.
No.
It was just –
it was bad. So can Kentucky do anything like that? I mean, this Ohio State team looked pitiful versus
Well, they're
Auburn.
not great right now. I mean, they're not playing good. I think they won tonight, but I think they played Valpo. Ohio State is just up and down every single year. They had a couple good years there where they made.
What's happened to Michi Johnson?
I don't know, man. There's something going on with this team. It just feels like there's just some kind of no chemistry with this team at all. I wasn't a big fan of the hire of Diebler. I felt like Ohio State should have went out and got him somebody, a coach. Now, there's nothing wrong with Diebler because he finished the year out on a high standing last year. I thought he'd done really good with what they had last year. But this Ohio State team is just not a great basketball team. And now that, like you was talking about, Michi Johnson, he's took a leave of absence. So I don't know, man. And then you had the whole Aaron Bradshaw deal early November, where he was he
got
out
reinstated, but did he even play the day? He did a little, I think.
I'm not sure. Now they got some decent pieces. I mean, they got Bruce Thornton. He's a really good guard. They got Devin Royal. He had a big game tonight against Valpo. They got Micah Parrish, the former guard that played with Lamont Butler at San Diego State. He's not a great offensive guy, but he can do some really good things defensively.
It is, Jerry. It's part of.
Well, and they got John Mobley. John Mobley's really good.
What's this one called, John?
Do what now?
This is not the Champions Classic. What's this one?
No, this is you hadn't asked me, I told you. It's some kind of classic.
It is.
I can't remember off the top of my head. They had 4 players unavailable tonight. Aaron Bradshaw was out. Glover was out. Colin White was out.
Johnson.
Michi Johnson, he's taking a leave of absence to some personal matters, according to an article. So they don't know when he'll return, but most likely he'll probably play against Kentucky, though. That's the odds that usually happen.
Those personal things won't matter against Kentucky, probably.
No, so, I don't know, man. They rebuilt a whole staff. They changed the whole roster. I don't know, man. This should be a game that you win comfortably. They got blew out against Maryland. Auburn whipped them pretty good. Pitt beat them in overtime. They whipped Rutgers, which Rutgers has been kind of
a pretty good team.
Rutgers has been kind of off and on this year. They did lose to Texas A&M early, and they beat Texas. I think the first game of the year. So, there's some pieces there for Ohio State to be good, but it's just confusing the last couple of games where they are mentally, because there's just some things there that kind of worry.
I'm going to tell you right now, Auburn's dog.
They did. They did.
I'm not even they dog walked them.
But you got to consider, Brad, Auburn might be the number 1 team in the country right now, according to some. I mean, they're pretty legit.
I think they're definitely a national title contender. I really do.
Now, I will say Janai Broome got hurt tonight. I don't know the extent of it. I know that he was putting ice on his shoulder earlier. Don't really know the details, but hopefully he's not hurt bad, and Auburn don't lose him, because Auburn can't afford to lose him. He's the engine that makes them go. Auburn's good. They got, like you said, they got Miles Kelly, got Pettiford, got Janai Broome. This Auburn team, to me, is the best in the SEC right now. So, next to Tennessee. I don't even think Tennessee's better than them, which Tennessee's number 1 right now. But think about this, Brad, for a minute.
I think it should be Auburn. Think about this for a minute, Brad, real quick. You got Tennessee number 1. You got Auburn number 2. You got Kentucky at number 4.
I think Florida's
Florida's right there, 6, 7, somewhere around there. Yeah,
I think they're 7th, and I think you got Alabama at 8. Like the SEC in the top 7,
loaded.
they're 7th.
I mean, just loaded.
It's absolutely nuts.
Yeah, just
So,
loaded. That's all
Alabama 6. Alabama 6. But based on the AP 25 poll, Tennessee's 1, Auburn's 2, Kentucky 4, Alabama 6, Florida 7, Texas A&M 12, Oklahoma 14, Ole Miss 17. And that's it. But on
There's
the
8
other receiving
teams in
votes,
the AP poll.
you got Mississippi State 26, Arkansas 27, and Missouri 28th. Like, you've got SEC teams margin the down on the top 25. Like, it's absolutely insane to me.
Yep.
So
it's going to be a rough go.
But yeah,
this game at Ohio State, it's
like
going to be
said,
interesting to me because Auburn dog walked them, like I said last week. So are we going to be able to handle them handedly? I'm not saying we're going to beat them 41 points.
It should be a game it should be a game you coast. Honestly, I think it's a game you should be able to win by at least 20 points.
15, 20 points. Yeah.
I mean, at the least. I mean, because you don't want to drop. I feel like you don't want to drop this game because you got Brown coming up, then you got Florida coming up, and then you have to go to Georgia, which is not going to be an easy game. So I think this is a game you need to win, move to 11-1, and move on, and get ready for Brown and finish the 2024 in style. And by the way, it's called the CBS Sports Classic. That's what it's in New York, I believe.
Yeah, I think it is.
And I think the first game is UCLA and North Carolina. I think they play at 3 o'clock Eastern time. So that's the first game. So, and Kentucky plays the late game. I think it's 5:15 maybe, 5:30. It's a 5:30 game.
5:30. Yeah.
Yeah. So,
all right, guys, we're going to wrap this up. Stay tuned with us and follow us for new Stadium Rant articles. We have some new Kentucky articles on the Kentucky and the Purdue games for both men's and women's out. You can check out an article that was focused on Amelia Hassett, who was with us at the beginning of the show. It was good to have her on, and I want to say thank you to the University of Kentucky, to Cammie Moore for helping me put this together. For Amelia Hassett, I want to say thank you to her. I know that she has not done too many media things yet. She's not been in Kentucky but just a few months, and she hasn't done too many things like this. So I appreciate her being on with me. I hope she had a little bit of fun.
With the personality thing. With the personality thing, I believe hanging out with Georgia Moore would be the best bet because she's the personality of this thing. She's the one that makes the engine go with the personality deal. So, Georgia Moore's funny too. She's really funny. I watched the video a while back. She's really hilarious.
Yeah, and she can talk. I mean, she's intelligent and everything, like about ball. Like she really knows what she's talking about. She wants to be a coach. But the thing about with Amelia and Georgia are both from Australia, so they have that in common. They can kind of banter back and forth in that Aussie accent, and have a little bit of fun. So I just want to say thank you. We appreciate.
We're having our Big Fuss show tomorrow night, and then we're going to do our college
show on Thursday.
Pick'em show Thursday. Now, I will say this to Brad. I don't know if our viewers know. I mean, they probably know Christmas is coming up. There's a stretch for 3 days where there's no basketball whatsoever. There's no college basketball. I think is it 4 days, 3 days, 4 days? I think it's 3
3 or
days.
4 days.
It's 3, I think. And there's now if you like football, there's going to be some bowl games on. Or if you don't want to do that, you can sit around and look at your family and finally get to know them. Brad, we'll get to know them on a one-on-one basis. But
I'm not sure what we're going to do next week because of Christmas and everything. So we'll figure out that schedule. But I do know the next 2 nights we're going to be on.
Hey, Brad,
we're going to do the Big Fuss show.
You can come hang out with me and look
Game
at
Day Pick'ems.
You can come hang out with me and get to know me, man, for 3 days.
Hey, I met you and we did get together for a little Christmas dinner last Saturday. So yeah,
I think that was enough for you for 1 year, right?
well, at least for the month.
Oh, for the month at least, right? Oh goodness.
Oh man. All right, guys. So if you missed Josh, go back and watch my interview at the beginning of this with Amelia Hassett. I appreciate her being on and just want to say again, thank you. And we're going to wrap this up and we'll see you guys tomorrow night. I
will say real quick, Ray, if we don't have a show next week, I want to wish everybody a Merry Christmas. I kind of want to throw that in. Everybody to have a Merry Christmas. If
we'll probably do something. I just don't know if we will do 3 shows next week.
Yeah, probably not.
So yeah.
But go to bed, Josh. Go to sleep.
All right, y'all. Have a good night. We will see you tomorrow for the Big Fuss show. Have a good night.